Welcome to Intentional Life with me, Jamie Comer. Thanks for being here and thanks for being you. And thanks for gifting yourself this time to pause and tune inward. I know it's not easy to carve out time for yourself, so good on you. You got this. Okay, 3 stories today. That's what I've got for you, plus a little extra fun. These stories include the Olympic Games. It's perfect time, I figure, right? This week is the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games in Paris, France. And I'd love to share with you a story about the opening ceremonies as well that I experienced in 2008 in Beijing, China. Also a story about clutter, dealing with the mess and all that stuff. This is metaphorically and, physically. And then also a story about color, what we wear, self-expression, and being true to who you are. Okay? So thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in on this. Okay. So the Olympic Games, Paris, France, that's happening in just a couple days of this recording. And now imagine 2008 in Beijing, China, in the Bird's Nest. That is the big structure where the opening ceremonies took place. Every country goes through the opening ceremonies. And it was really hot that day. I remember we were in these fancy blazers and we were just sweating underneath. Luckily, it was dark blue on top and then white underneath, but it was really sweaty. You could see us drenched. And at the Olympic ceremonies, you're walking around all the athletes, and then there's this whole center area where all the athletes kind of pool together, and we got to watch the amazing show take place in the evening on August 8th, 2008, where the fireworks are happening and the music, and it was just, a beautiful fanfare of an experience. And the athletes who go through in the games, I remember that happens at the end of the ceremony, right? Because beforehand, we got to watch some of it on a screen before we went in. And so what happened when we were in there, my teammates and I, we happened to find ourselves next to Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was there, which was super cool. I was nerding out. One of my teammates played for Italian teams, and she was speaking Italian to him. And I was like, this is so cool. One thing I witnessed, though, was many people would come up from multiple countries and ask for either a photo or autograph. And as the games were, as the fireworks were happening, you could tell, or just my perception at least, was that he wanted to watch, right? He was participating. He was a participant in the games, just like all of us who were standing next to him. And he wanted to witness these amazing, fireworks and the fanfare and just really be present. And so some of us, the teammates, and I believe it was some of the Team USA softball athletes, we helped create this little kind of a circle around him for a bit. And just to kind of stop people from walking through to ask him for photos so he could just be present and watch and just enjoy the experience of being there. And what this reminds me of is this concept around being human. The human experience, which the human experience includes having emotions and experiences, ups and downs, right? It's not all perfection and blissfulness. It's an adventure, the ups and downs of an adventure, but the humanness of wanting to be present and enjoy a moment. And this idea of wanting to be present, we all crave this ability and opportunity to be present and enjoy the moment. That's not always easy, though. Sometimes we need those kind of protection barricades to let us be present. Being holistically supported to be you, to be yourself in a moment, in any given moment. And this calls to me to this idea of what would it be like? And I'll put this in the context for athletes at the moment and team members of the Olympics and Paralympic Games, since we're speaking of that. But this can go for all humans. What would it be like to feel holistically supported and empowered? To feel holistically empowered, whether that, and including emotionally, physically, nutritionally, energetically, spiritually, financially? What would it feel like to be empowered in all those areas and every other area of your life that you can think of? To feel empowered to be yourself, to feel empowered to be present, to feel empowered to be who you are. Isn't that just one of the biggest gifts ever? To gift yourself just to be you. Give yourself time and space to explore who you are and to radiate that. So I was thinking about this concept around, being yourself, holistically being you, being human, knowing that you are more than simply your labels or titles. So in this case, athlete, professional athlete. In the case of Kobe Bryant, he's also human, right? That what would it be like for, thinking of the Olympic and Paralympic Games, for every athlete and team member meaning any staff, anyone involved in the Olympic and Paralympics, to feel holistically empowered in all those areas. So you can be you. So you can be present and supported in who you are. Whether that's as a parent, whether that's a person in business, whether that is who you are. I mean, I know that's a big dream, but that's a big dream of mine. And yes, we don't control what anybody else feels. To feel, what does it mean to feel implicitly empowered, right? I mean, there's literally thousands and thousands of people involved in the Olympics and Paralympics. And that would be a massive change would need to take place for any person, athlete or not, to feel holistically empowered. I mean, how many of us, whether we're athletes or not, feel holistically empowered? Emotionally, physically, nutritionally, energetically, spiritually, and financially, and more. We may have some resources, but what actually helps us feel empowered? And I was contemplating this recently about, where does one start to feel holistically empowered? One of the ways that I find that are the most empowering, that helps us feel empowered in these different areas of our life, just given the observations and experiences I've had of coaching people and being in group format, like group sessions, coaching, having our campfire sessions where we connect. It's for your personal growth, but it's in a group environment. And just on my own personal journey, and also speaking with Olympic and Paralympic athletes, whether as clients or just as friends. One thing I do find is that the most empowering thing is our stories, sharing your story, because your story will speak to somebody. Your story will awaken somebody. Your story will enlighten somebody. Your story will bring possibility, an opportunity, or aliveness, or healing, or belonging to somebody. Trust me, your story will. So I've been contemplating about that, how to share more stories. The possibility of that, right? Well, my ask of you, something to consider, is what do you feel called to share? We don't have to be Kobe Bryant to share our story or to feel deserving, to feel holistically supported and feel surrounded by that physical or energetic support. We don't have to be in the Olympic and Paralympic Games to deserve this support. Every human does. What story do you feel called to share? If you think of your story, who you are, what are the first 3 words that come up for you that embody that story a bit, embody you? First 3 words. I'm going to give that some thought for a moment. First 3 words. With yours, I'll share mine in a moment. But I'd like a follow-up question for you for this. Is the words that you have is something, if you'd like to explore this further, what I invite you to do is write out those 3 words on a paper and then think of one story that relates, one specific experience you've had and that just comes to mind for you with that word, and share, just write it out. Just for the purpose of you sharing it on paper. You don't have to physically share it. You don't have to physically do anything with it. It's just for you to share something about that. The 3 words that come up for you in this very moment that describe you or your journey, your story, who you are in this moment. Those words can change later. They might change in a week to you. So just for today, what the 3 words that resonate. And write out for each word just a short story that comes up for you, an experience you've had that embodies that word, or that reminds you of that word. Just that it reminds you, kind of gives you that idea, and go from there. And you can decide what to do with that. You can always share it publicly, or you can just recycle that piece of paper if that's what you need. If it's a healing moment for you, just to write it out or save it. You decide. One of my words, I'll just share one of my words, is weaving. Actually, interestingly, as a kid, I loved to weave, and pregnant with my 3rd child, who I had 8 months ago, I did a weaving project for the first time in years. But I find one of my stories is about weaving things together. I find myself dancing in multiple, I don't know if the word is worlds, but I find myself dancing in many places. Some people work with just a very specific niche group of people, or they're involved in something specific. Say, for example, just sports. We're talking about the sports community here. For me, I love weaving information and learning and experiences from multiple places and multiple sources. I'm very much loving connecting, mindfulness, self-compassion practices, intentional living, go figure, right? Spiritual practices around connecting with your intuition, with the concept around spirit guides, around masculine and feminine energy, and weaving that into life where we may not find that as often. For example, sports, right? Yet I do find, or another example of that is when I was teaching yoga and Pilates and more mindfulness practices and meditation, I'd bring that into and provide that for professional athletes. And I'd infuse, we usually titled yoga and Pilates, but I'd naturally bring in my own practices of mindfulness and meditation. And it was naturally brought in and infused in a approachable way. And these days, what it looks like is, I'm still exploring what it looks like these days, to be honest with you. But I dream up of, I think of sharing stories, sharing each other's stories, and holding space for us to share our stories of who we are beyond maybe those titles, because there's so much healing in that. Okay. So I'm curious what comes up for you from this experience. Feel free to share and tag me at Jamie Comer on LinkedIn or on Instagram, or just send me a note here. That's fine too. Okay. Now let's explore the world of what we wear and how we express ourselves. A lot of expression stories today. A client of mine was wearing black. And through our conversations, she discovered that she was wearing black because to her, black represented hiding herself, staying hidden, not seen. And she discovered through conversation and having a space where she could receive questions and kind of come up with those answers herself, that she had been hiding herself for many years. She would walk down the hallway and hide, not say hi to people. And kind of in wearing black, it was almost like her being invisible. And she liked it like that for a while. It served a purpose for her. It was a way of protecting herself. until she realized or came to a moment where she didn't want to feel like that anymore. She wanted to express herself. She wanted to show who she is within. She wanted to say hello. So one day she started doing that. She started changing the colors of the clothes she wore. She added more color to her wardrobe. It started with just wearing a shirt that she had already owned. That's it. Just one little change like that. And saying hi as she walked down the hallway. This story feels so empowering to me and reminds me of to take stock once in a while and be honest with myself about where do I hide? Where do I hide? In this case, this woman wearing black represented hiding herself, who she is, hiding her light, so to speak. The colors may be different for you. They may have a different meaning for you. And it may not just be what you wear. Maybe it's in some other form of self-expression. What we say, what we adorn ourselves with, what we surround ourselves with. I love reflecting on this question because it's a hard question to be honest about where am I hiding? I invite you to consider that too if you are willing and want to do that. Where are you hiding? And maybe another way of phrasing that is, what are you hiding? What are you hiding? I spoke earlier about expressing yourself, your whole self, or being holistically empowered. What are you hiding? Are you hiding your power, your strength, your voice? Are you hiding your silliness, your joyfulness, your quirkiness? Are you hiding your seriousness? Are you hiding your business nature? Are you hiding your ability to be organized and get things done? It could be an spectrum of what one may feel like they're hiding for whatever reason. And I honor whatever comes up for you, being very compassionate and gentle with that. Because I figure with anything that we feel like we're actually hiding, if we feel like we are, there was a reason for us to. It felt safer for us to do that. It felt safe for us to hide that. So I honor anything that comes up for you. And I hope by using this example of what we wear to be a little lighter in it. Since this is a podcast episode, okay, this isn't therapy. I don't do therapy anyway. Please seek that if that is something that you feel called to. But this is a safe space to reflect and explore. And notice what's resonating and know what's coming up for you. Okay. So with that said, is there anything that you feel called to do or take to wear even this week, or to maybe experience? Maybe it's something that you're sharing. Maybe it's something that you're writing. Maybe it's something you're wearing. Maybe it's something that you're doing for yourself or doing for someone else. Honoring that it's coming from a place of love. And now let's explore the messy. Okay. Moving on to our third story. This month, I am going through a lot of our things in our house. And have you ever gone through a drawer, a closet, a part of a car, anything, and you pulled things out and there's just stuff everywhere? You have to kind of go through the messy stuff in order to clear it out and decide what you want to do with everything. That's what's happening in our house right now. We're in our second round as our family of 5 in slow world travel, where we go location independent, meaning that we put some things that bring us joy, or the things that we want to keep, our essentials, furniture, things that bring us joy, into storage, and we sell or give away the rest. And we go travel while we're working. It's a very slow travel process. We're in a place ideally for at least 3 months. Although everything has looked different, honestly. We did this for a year in 2022 to 23. And then, I've been where we are for over a year now, had a baby since then. So now this will be our first round of doing this as a family of 5. And one thing I've learned through this adventure is, you may have a plan, but be open to changes as that plan shifts and changes and adjusts. So that's why I say, for now, this is what we're doing. So what's happening in our house, though, is there's physical things. I'm going through the closets and the drawers, and it just feels like there's more stuff everywhere. Let's use that metaphor. Let's use that metaphor compassionately for when you go through your stuff, your internal stuff, your inner world, when you go through all that, which this episode may be bringing some of that up already. I think of it like when, before things get clear and clean, they get really messy. And if we're willing to, we can go through that mess. I invite you to notice your style. If you are the person who likes to go through, this might be your emotions, things in your life, or it might be the physical things in your life, going through a drawer. Do you like to go through it all and just throw it all out? Or do you want to go through it piece by piece? Do you take days to do it? Do you schedule in time to do it? What your relationship is with that. I do believe, though, that the mess serves a purpose. The mess serves a purpose because it's something that's meant to come up. So if something's coming up in your life that feels messy, you could consider that that's a time because you're ready to handle it. You're ready for that healing or for that growth or for that shift, that change that's needed to go through it. So you've got it. You've got what you need to go through it. I invite you to think of a messy time, a messy thing in your life right now. We can play with this a little bit, this metaphor. I invite you to think of a messy thing in your life, if you have one, something that feels unclear, something that feels confusing. That's how I feel when I go through all this stuff. And what would you like to go through? Is it a physical drawer, a closet, a garage, the glove compartment of a car? Or is it a relationship? A relationship that feels a little more messy. Relationship with a person, business, your relationship with work, how you schedule time, your relationship with money. All sorts of possibilities, right? You can pick one. And think about how you'd like to go through it. So if you imagine it as a physical item, so it might be a physical item you're going through, or it might be, again, a metaphorical one, or one that's intangible, How would you like to go through it? Do you want to schedule time to make this happen? From 2 to 4 p.m. today, I'm going to go through this drawer, or I'm going to write out my relationship with money, right? Is it a time that you're scheduling in? Or is it like, I'm just going to go for it and just go until I'm done? Do I want to ask myself some questions around it? Right? How do I feel about this? How do I want to feel around this relationship or this thing? How do I want to feel about this drawer? What's important to me about having this cleared out? And what's one step that you can actually take, whether that's today or this week, to move forward in clearing the mess? What's one thing you can do today or this week to move forward in clearing that mess? I know one thing that I'm doing to clear the physical mess in our house is I'm actually going to schedule out time for this next month and decide what I'm clearing out when for the next month. The reason I do that is because I personally get overwhelmed trying to clear out, everything either now 1 month ahead, which doesn't make sense because we need dishes to eat. We need, furniture to use right now. But I also don't want to wait till the final week because that's pretty overwhelming for me too. So I'm going to time it out, give myself little increments to work on it. If it was something metaphorical, say like relationship with money, I might do more weekly to space it out too. I might do more weekly check-ins, What's my relationship with money today? What's on a scale of 1 to 10? How do I feel about money? What's important to me about money? How do I want to feel when I talk about money? And how do I feel right now on a scale of 1 to 10, how I talk about it? You can ask questions like that, for example. Or how do I want to feel in this relationship? On a scale of 1 to 10, how good do I feel about this relationship right now? What would have me have my number go up 2 points? Yeah. So you can play around with different questions to explore that. Okay. I'm curious which story of our 3 today is speaking to you the most. Let me know. I would love to know. Message me. You can send me an email at jamie@jamiecomer.com, spelled JAIMEKOMER. Or you can send me a message on Instagram at Jamie Comer or LinkedIn at Jamie Comer. I would love to hear what story is resonating with you most. And as we wrap up, a little quote to take with you for the week. This one came up to me. I just came up with earlier this week. I've been contemplating the concepts around calm and chaos. I have 3 kids, 3 boys. And even though one of them is a baby, well, it doesn't matter if they're a baby or not. It just life feels full. And some people might use the word chaotic, but I'm going to use the word full. Okay. Because I think chaos has a little bit of sometimes a negative connotation. And I'm working with my own relationship around chaos. Cultivating calm calls for clearing the chaos. We're playing with C's here. Cultivating calm calls for clearing the chaos. So as a final reflection, I invite you to consider what is chaos to you? What is chaos to you? And what chaos is within your control? What chaos is within your control? So as my example, when my kids are playing, they are loud humans. They express themselves fully. Oof, talk about expression today, right? They love to express themselves. So when we've lived in apartments in Europe where, we're spaces where we have neighbors all around us. Oh man, it's been hilarious learning. I'll just leave it at that for now. Compared to where we are now, where there's a lot of kind of nature around us and not as many people hear us. So what chaos is within your control? In the example for me I don't control another person. As much as we pretend we can, we don't. We can't control another person, right? What isn't my control is my relationship with how I feel about the people around me and the sounds that they make. And I also control what's happening or within my own body and how I feel about that. So cultivating calm calls for clearing the chaos. We're not going to probably clear all the chaos, meaning you're always going to have something that maybe feels chaotic in your life. But what you consider to be actually chaotic is going to change as you play around with that in different ways. What you actually consider to be chaotic, I invite you to explore, well, what is chaotic to you and why is that chaotic? Does it have to do with being in control or not being in control of it? I know, a challenging question right there to play with. That's one I've been playing with a little bit. So I invite you to also play with what helps you cultivate calm. Inner calm, in this case. What helps you cultivate inner calm? And what helps you clear the inner chaos? The thoughts, the emotions, the inner noise. What helps you cultivate inner calm? What helps you cultivate clear the inner chaos? And as a final question to play with is what your inner calm and your relationship with inner chaos has to do with for you, how it connects with the outer calm, how you see outer calm and also outer chaos, meaning stuff that happens outside of you, a calm surroundings, chaotic surroundings. When you're calm internally, do you handle the outer chaos more easily? When you're inwardly chaotic, does the outwardly calm still feel chaotic? Just notice how those play together. Lots of things to explore.